May the words of my mouth and the meditation of our hearts be always acceptable in your sight, O God, our strength and our Redeemer.
Amen.
As I got ready to write today's sermon, I got settled into my comfortable recliner where all of my best praying and thinking and writing happens. I prayed for a while, a short while, but I had some ideas that I was eager to get on with on my sermon. But first I needed some mood music, some Trans-Siberian Orchestra, which I really love at this time of year. So I decided to pair my iPhone with my new wireless speaker that I got on eBay. Once those sweet sounds were pouring out, I got my iPad to read my favorite commentary on the readings that I get through email. But I got a little distracted by a Levi's email that had offered 20% off, and remembered that my order for the jeans I got my sister for Christmas had been canceled. So I had to reorder them while I was still thinking about it, so that they would be here by Christmas. I got lost a little in the Levi's ad, perusing the things that are on sale, but snapped back to work when I realized what I was doing. I finally read the commentary, and the ideas I'd been having for the sermon took a completely different tack. Life is what happens while you're busy making other plans, came to my mind. Who said that? I Googled the quote and found a website called Quote Investigator, which went into great detail about the many people this quote had been attributed to, including John Lennon, who sang it to his son Sean in 1980. While I was researching this quote, I realized that my iPhone battery was going to run down if I kept streaming music from it, and since I was going to type my sermon on my laptop, I decided to play the music from my laptop, which was plugged in. The problem I quickly discovered was that I did not have a Pandora app on my MacBook, and there wasn't one listed in the App Store either. I could have used Spotify, which an app I do have, but I haven't liked their mix of songs on Trans-Siberian Orchestra as much as Pandora's. I opened the Chrome browser and searched for a Pandora app for Mac and found a website I had never heard of that promised me an app, but the app wouldn't install because I didn't have the right program on my Mac. I finally decided to just stream from the browser, since several minutes had gone by and I needed to get to my sermon. I fiddled around for another 10 minutes, found the Bluetooth connection so I could pair my Mac with my speakers, marveling at modern technology and how it makes life so much easier. Just as I had typed in the words Advent 4 Sermon, the Reverend Liz Simmons, the music stopped. I had no longer had a Bluetooth connection for some reason, and a dialog box told me I was no longer on Wi-Fi either. I clicked on my Wi-Fi and fired it back up, and then looked at the Bluetooth connection, which said it was connected to my speakers, but the music was coming out of my laptop and not the speakers. And so I thought, I'll play the music from my iPad, which I can charge tonight, and proceeded to pair it, get the app running, and the music playing again. Finally, I sat back in my recliner, computer on my lap, and now my laptop was saying that I must install an update of Microsoft Word before it could go any further. This process took another 10 minutes, including having to close out everything that I had open on my desktop, such as the previous draft of my sermon. Well, the title anyway. By this time, an hour had gone by since I started, and as I began to write, I reflected back on the quote from John Lennon and the 6 other people who have been credited with saying, "Life is what happens when you are busy making other plans." What had made me think of that? Oh yeah, there was that commentary I had read. I pulled my iPad over to reread the commentary, which included the poem by W.H. Auden that had made me totally switch my sermon idea earlier. Before I could reread the poem, I was distracted by having to like the music that was playing, because you got to do that to give them feedback. And so I had to click on the Pandora app and then click on the thumbs up icon on the artist's page. That only took a minute, but it was now 9 minutes past the hour later than I had intended to write the sermons. Ironic, I thought, that the sermon somehow managed to stay intact as I was distracted by so many other things. It is as it was those 2,000 plus years ago for Mary and Joseph as well. While they were busy traveling to Bethlehem so Joseph could register for taxation in his native land, a baby happened to be born. God happened while Mary and Joseph were busy making other plans. God entered this world as almost an afterthought, so that ordinary people like you and me might understand that life happens even when we are busy and distracted and getting the to-do list completed, having forgotten to add talk to God to the list. What W.H. Auden said was this to Mary and Joseph: "Blessed woman, excellent man, redeem for the dull the average way, that common ungifted natures may believe that their normal vision can walk to perfection." Let me read that again. Blessed woman, excellent man, redeem for the dull the average way, that common ungifted natures may believe that their normal vision can walk to perfection. There's hope for you and me. God keeps manifesting himself to us despite our other plans, our busy schedules, the frenzied modern lives made more complicated by technology and modern conveniences. Rather than allow it to interfere, God slips into our lives, even as we are multitasking, even as we are making way for something else. I commend each of you for being here this morning. I know that at this time of year can be very busy. I know the guest lists and the menu and the presents yet unwrapped are awfully pressing. For me, I must add to my list 3 more sermons between now and next Sunday, on top of entertaining family for Christmas. I have come to trust, however, that the one who came down from his throne in heaven to live an ordinary life knows what it's like. And though he may not have lived a life of apps and devices and Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, he must have faced other aspects of human life, like diaper rash and stomach aches and sore throats and puberty and confusing messages about who he was and having to decide over his parents' plans to live the life of an itinerant preacher. Not exactly a safe, secured career to put his parents' minds at ease. And there's that crucifixion and resurrection business, which more than anything defined his whole life. If it hadn't been for that, he might have lived in obscurity and been a blip of God on the world's very busy radar screen. How many other times does God appear to us and we don't recognize the face of God? This Advent, while you're busy checking off your to-do list, while you're wondering what all this extraneous activity really has to do with God's incarnation, remind yourself gently that it is life, and life is what God came to redeem. Amen.